Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and this is going to be part 3 of my official Q&A sort of experiment. So let's go ahead and get going. From my good friend, Matrix Lord 212, moving on to the third question, which is the Enterprise show the same timeline as the new Star Trek movie because of the Temporal War and Archer fighting the Borg? Yeah, very much so. In fact, I read articles to this effect, but there is actually a legitimate on-screen answer to that question, and that is basically when Scotty mentions Archer's beagle, Porthos. He doesn't name the dog, I believe, but he says Admiral Archer, and that ties into Enterprise. So I do wholeheartedly believe that Enterprise is part of this new take on Star Trek. So I have a couple more questions here from Matrix Lord 212, and then I'll move on. Still Star Trek related. Is the Star Trek timeline altered from the Next Generation timeline? Because when Geordi saved Scotty, he believed Kirk would rescue him. I think he means the episode Relics, the Next Generation episode. But in Star Trek Generations, the movie, he watched Kirk die saving Enterprise B. So in other words, is the timeline between the original series and Next Generation two different timelines? Well, I don't know. I think you can tackle this any number of ways. There are definitely much more creative ways, I'm sure, that has been tackled in Trek fiction and stuff like that. My own personal, in a nutshell, way of dealing with it would be to say, yes, they are different timelines, put simply. Although, actually, I have a Star Trek series idea that I came up with probably going on a decade ago now, and I've modified over time with each new iteration of Star Trek that's come out, where basically that would kind of sort of be explained. And as I'm looking at the next question here, I'm seeing kind of similarly in the unification episodes of Next Gen, Spock sounds like he is responsible for Kirk dying by the hands of the Klingons due to events in Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, yet Kirk dies in the Next Generation future, meaning generations again, and according to the laws of time travel, do you believe that Kirk is still alive in the nexus of reality from generations? So basically, it's up to you what you want to really think about it. There is definitely other ways of explaining all of that. I think the nexus is, prime for the picking as far as explaining away all of these different discrepancies and things. And, of course, time travel and alternate timelines and all of that. I'm sure that some writers in Trek fiction have taken stabs at, fitting pieces together without trying to go the time travel route. But I think that's the most easy way to, sort of deal with it. Do I think Kirk is alive in the Nexus? I absolutely do. As I'm mentioning it now, I think I seem to recall reading that William Shatner may have co-published a story where that's already happened. I think with Judith and Garfield Reeves Stevens, two authors, husband and wife authors. I only hope we can actually get to see that on, screen at some point, whether on a series or, in one of the big screen adaptations. I mean, I think that would be a really great way to finagle him into the next Star Trek movie, have the crew come across, that nexus, very similarly to how Spock, Old Man Spock, or Prime Spock, if you will, came back in time and so forth, and interacted with that younger crew. So I'm going to go ahead and actually move on to the next group of questions from YouTuber Rick the 89. This is a good friend of mine, and his first question is, who is your favorite Doctor and why? Doctor Who question. And wow, that is definitely a good question. I don't know if I'm going to have a definitive answer here, because I love all 11 of the Doctors. Definitely enjoyed David Tennant. I'd say, as far as who I think my favorite is, it's kind of a cross between Christopher Eccleston, because he's really the first one that I ever really saw. I do have vague memories that my mother watched Doctor Who when I was a boy, and I have vague memories of Tom Baker. But it wasn't until the 2005 series that, when it aired over here in 2006, with Eccleston and Billie Piper as Rose, that was really my first full-on encounter, especially as an adult, and that pulled me into it. So I'd say it's 50-50 between Eccleston and probably Matt Smith, because as I've watched him since his very first episode, I felt he was the most natural, most real as far as being this alien sort of otherworldly character. I think out of all the actors who have made their mark on this character, his is the one that I would say, this is not Matt Smith as the Doctor. This is the Doctor as Matt Smith. Whereas you watch Peter Davison, you're watching Peter Davison as the Doctor. You watch Tom Baker as the Doctor. It's closer to that Matt Smith, natural ability of encapsulating this alien nature. But I think I've been most impressed with Matt Smith. That would be my answer. I'd say it'd be 50-50 between Eccleston, my first Doctor, and Matt Smith, as far as I can tell, the most realistic portrayal of what an alien Time Lord would be, I think. And I think the scribe I just subscribed now said that once or twice as well. So your second question is, do you sleep with an axe or some shit by your bed in case the zombies rise up while you're a kipper? Let me just say, no, I don't have an axe by my bedside. I do have a Louisville Slugger, which is not quite as extravagant as an axe, I'll admit, but it will bust skulls if I need to. That actually did remind me, though, that my grandmother used to have a sword by her bedside, and I'm not making this up. I, as a child, had night terrors and nightmares very often, and to help me sleep, it seemed to calm me to know that she could take on any monster that might, come out of the walls or come out of the closet as a kid. And she had this sort of, if you think of like putting on a play, I think it was actually something she took from like, a church stockroom of play stuff where costumes and props were. And this was a very thick sort of cardboard sword. I didn't figure out it was cardboard until years later, but as a kid I thought this was the genuine article. It was plated in like tin foil, so it was shiny like a real sword. And basically she would show this to me and say, you can sleep okay and you can sleep soundly because, if any monsters or bogeymen or whatever you want to call it, were going to come after you, Grandma would, fight them with the sword and everything like that. So, a really funny memory that I haven't thought about in years, really. Third question is, what is your favorite food/meal to eat? I was going to ask drink, and then I remembered you're a Red Dew man. Yes, in fact I am. I have, right now, sitting in my fridge, 5 whole bottles of it. 5 whole 2-liter bottles, which I'm not ashamed to admit, because I love that shit. But favorite food, wow. For lack of a better term, I'm going to say I'm very much the all-American cliche. Burgers and pizza, cheeseburgers and pizza. Very much like Jughead Jones in Archie comics. That's always been my favorites, although I've become partial to chicken in various forms, mostly grilled. And lately I've been eating a lot of Hot Pockets, which is probably not that good for you. But that and ham sandwiches, which again is probably not good for the belly and everything like that. But I'd say overall I'm very much into burgers and pizza and that kind of thing. Nothing all that creative, frankly. But so moving on, we have the final question from GGBK28, another awesome channel on YouTube. And the question is, what is your all-time favorite comic book movie? All-time favorite. Just like the Doctor Who question, I don't think I can answer this definitively. Basically, I'm going to answer as best as I can for the moment. Whatever I answer right now is only going to be the one that occurs to me for the moment. And there are actually 2 occurring to me right this minute. One is because I was just talking about it in one of my last Wicked flicks, which is the 1989 Batman movie. That movie I played over and over and over again, to the point of annoying my parents. And, that's definitely up there. I think that might be the all-time favorite. I would also add on there, from recent years, Watchmen. as far as how impressed I was with it. It's not a perfect film by and large, but I'd say it's one of the greats as far as comic book movies that do exist. But I guess I'll say Batman 1989, the Tim Burton Batman, because just the sheer amount of times that I've watched it, I have always really loved Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson in their roles in that film. Kim Basinger was definitely a sweet-looking lady to look at, and Robert Wuhl was funny. He was the investigative reporter, and Jack Palance is in it with his gravitas, and the sort of dark vision that Tim Burton had. And again, like Jack Nicholson as the Joker, just, man, as a kid, I just loved that. And that was like one of the first times where, whereas Star Wars was my first encounter with geeky properties, this was the first movie as I was in early to mid-teens, that just hit me on so many levels. I was like, wow, this is not only a great comic book movie, this is not only a great movie with these funny, great characters in it, there isn't just an intriguing story. Filmmaking wise, I have always been a movie buff, and have been into the production of movies and stuff like that. And I was very intrigued by how they made that movie and the vision behind it and everything like that. So, even though I will always and forever say that Superman is my all-time favorite character, with Batman coming second, I guess I'm going to have to say that as far as favorite all-time comic book movie, 1989 Batman is probably the number one spot. So, this is officially the end of I'm sad to say, and I know you're heartbroken and you're going to be crying and sobbing now. You're going to be reaching for your Kleenex, hopefully for nothing more than wiping those tears away. And yeah, so for any of you guys who have been following all three parts of this, Mike Aquamagnus, he said it was a really great idea to do a Q&A. I want to encourage all of you guys, if you make videos, think about doing this. I'm sure I could come up with some questions for each of you guys, and I would try to have some serious ones and some kooky ones and so on and so forth, because that's just the way I am. But yeah, this is definitely the end of this one, and I encourage you guys to think about at least maybe doing that on your own channels eventually. And but hey, I hope you're all doing well. I hope you enjoyed this, and that'll be it for me. So I will catch you later. Peace.